Yo, what is up guys? Delboy here, aka Blue Collar Sports TV. Hopefully you guys are doing well. If you're new here, smash that like, hit subscribe, all of that good stuff. So on Mike Tyson's podcast, Hotboxing with Mike Tyson, he actually had Ryan Garcia on the podcast. That's not released yet, I'm sure it's going to be released in the coming days. But a snippet was released to social media, and that was a FaceTime between Gervonta Tank Davis and Ryan Garcia. Basically, both guys were hootering and hollering, talking like they was going to fight each other next. Blah-de-blah-de-blah. It's got a lot of people excited, right? And I can see why. The prospect of that fight is exciting. Both guys can crack. Both guys are explosive. And, stylistically, if you put those two together, I'm sure it's going to result in an explosive fight. So I see why people are excited, but, let's not lose track of reality here. I mean, first and foremost, that fight in particular, there's a lot of bridges to get through there. Ryan Garcia is a DAZN fighter with Golden Boy, and he's exclusive to that network. And of course, Gervonta Davis is with the PBC, and Mayweather, he's on the Al Haymon side. So right there, these two have a lot of obstacles to get over in order for this fight to happen. And while both guys were talking like this fight was going to happen next, I think that is extremely unlikely. And, was this all by design? Is it to get fans excited for this potential fight? Let it marinate, and in the meantime, these guys basically cash in against less than stellar opposition. Is that what this is about? Just a PR exercise, when in reality there's no real desire from either camp to make this fight anytime soon. Right now the lightweight division is extremely exciting, especially when we look at these young guys in the division. Teofimo Lopez, Ryan Garcia, Devin Haney, Tank Davis, and of course we've got the older statesman in Vasily Lomachenko. The division right now is red hot. However, there's one fight there that is easily makeable, and that is Devin Haney versus Ryan Garcia. Of course, Devin Haney is the full WBC champion. Ryan Garcia is the interim champion. Both guys are on DAZN. That is the fight that makes the most sense next. I'm really excited about the lightweight division, especially these young guys and their potential fights. But, these guys are being anointed by boxing media as the new Four Horsemen, or if you prefer, the Fab Four. Now that is quite some praise. Now when we look at the original Fab Four, all of these guys fought each other, and they produced some great fights. Are we expecting that from this current batch of fighters? I'm not particularly sure. It seems these days, where one of these sort of young upcoming fighters, these bright fighters, once they get one good win, it seems like they get above their stations. Ryan Garcia, for example. Now, I was very complimentary of Ryan Garcia's performance against Luke Campbell and what he came through, but let's not get it twisted. Luke Campbell is a fringe contender. He's not Roberto Duran, but, for whatever reason, people are gassing Ryan Garcia up to the extent in which he's already some conglomerate in boxing, some massive A-side who can dictate terms and whatnot. Nah, Ryan Garcia, Teofimo Lopez, Devin Haney, Tank Davis, all of these guys need to make their bones, and none of these guys should be playing A-side or B-side over the other, as far as I'm concerned. You have to have achieved a lot in boxing for you to have that status, I'm talking about a guy like Manny Pacquiao, Floyd Mayweather. These guys were Hall of Famers before they made it big on pay-per-view, but it feels like these days, when a young fighter gets a half-decent win, he's king of the hill, and he can play A-side, B-side. He doesn't really have to put himself out there to really build a legacy and then become a genuine, authentic star. It feels like a lot of guys are trying to take shortcuts, and I can see that happening in the lightweight division. I go back to Ryan Garcia, Tank Davis. That fight is not realistic. It pains me to say it, but it's not. The fight that is realistic is Devin Haney, but for some reason, Ryan Garcia seems very quiet in regards to Devin Haney. For whatever reason. Maybe he sees it as a stylistic risk. They fought each other a lot of times in the amateurs. Maybe Ryan Garcia isn't confident. I don't know. But to me, it seems peculiar that you're giving a lot more energy to a fight in which is much harder to make. Historically, the PBC are not always the best at making fights with other promotions. We know this. Whereas you got a guy in Devin Haney on the same side, you can make that fight, but there's no real desire to make it for some reason. You've got the interim title. Why bother winning that title if you don't want to be the full champion? To me, this just seems like a lot of fun and games right now. I'm not getting too excited by this whole Tank Davis, Ryan Garcia situation. A lot of people are going to make their clickbait videos and say, yeah, it's going to happen next, it's going to happen next. They both said they're going to fight next. No, it won't happen next. You know that, I know that. Hopefully, again, I'd love to be wrong. I'd love to look like an idiot in a couple of months' time if this fight gets announced. I would love to. But I just can't see it. Right now, I think Ryan Garcia's MO should really be getting that full WBC title against Devin Haney. But for some reason, there's really not much energy in regards to making that fight. I really do believe we can get some great fights in the lightweight division, some real exciting fights. But right now, I do believe some of these guys may be acting a little too diva-ish, and maybe some of these guys are getting above and beyond their stations right now. I mean, even Teofimo Lopez, I thought he was great against Lomachenko. I scored that fight to Teofimo Lopez 7 rounds to 5. But I heard this guy come out in the media and say, I'm not going to give Lomachenko a rematch because he and his team were disrespectful to him and his father. What kind of soft shit is that? I mean, this is boxing. If somebody disrespects you, you fight them and you render them unconscious. That's what boxing is about. That's what all of the great rivalries are built on. Barrera Morales, Eubank Ben, all of these rivalries are built on that disrespect, that edge, and it makes these guys fight that a bit harder. You know, I don't want to hear Teofimo Lopez come out and say that. You know, I want to hear Teofimo Lopez say, listen, if I rematch Lomachenko, I'm going to make him pay for his words, I'm going to knock this guy out and end his career. That's what I want to hear from Teofimo Lopez. Not, oh, I'm not going to give this guy a rematch because he disrespected me. I just don't like that talk personally. I really don't. And I do believe there is some scope for a rematch between Lomachenko and Teofimo. Like I said, I felt Teofimo won that fight, but I felt it was very close. And a rematch to me holds intrigue. So, again, it's not one of those situations where there's no need for a rematch. I would like to see it again, me personally. So, yeah, I mean, I don't want to hear these fighters come out with these sort of statements. Things like that, you know. Ultimately, these guys are young guys. Yeah, Teofimo Lopez right now, he's the man. He's achieved a lot more than his young counterparts. But ultimately, he's still very young into his career, as are the majority of these guys. To me, none of these guys really have a luxury of playing games or playing politics or playing A-side, B-side. None of these guys have the CVs to really justify that. I understand it once a guy's become like a multi-weight world champion who's been pound for pound for a long time, a guy like Floyd, a guy like Pacquiao, they've earned their bones, you know? I understand it in their perspective, but none of these current lightweights are at that level. These guys have got a handful of good wins between them, and we're talking about 4 fighters here. So yeah, Devin Haney versus Ryan Garcia next is the fight to happen. I've just got a funny feeling that this whole Tank Davis-Ryan Garcia situation isn't really all that sincere. And yeah, I just think it's a big PR exercise, to be honest. But there we go. Hopefully I'm wrong. Share your thoughts below. It's been your guy Del Boy. Peace.